hello LinkedIn. Here I am again in lockdown with my mates, a bit of a mentor, a bit of a legend, the ginger 6'4" warrior, former psychobilly rock star. Someone one day must ask me to explain that trip to Belgium. Yeah. Some people might say that was one of the funniest moments of my, oh, Jesus Christ, Iron Stick. That was one of the funniest days, and the subsequent meeting with my with my suits that made me look like the Artful Dodger. That was one of the funniest times in my life. And Richard Banks, sir, the times I spent with you at S3 were phenomenal. Every moment was good fun. You taught me the whole principle of gains and drains. So having good people around you who keep you going forward, and you're a bag of energy. For everyone who doesn't know, when we were a bunch of kids, just playing at recruitment, growing quite fast, we looked to find a grey hair, which is someone who was mature, was professionally trained. Pitney Bowes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Someone who could come in with professional sales to teach us how to take some of our spot business and make it deeper. We were very happy to be an inch deep and a mile wide. And then we found this incredible person who managed to make us grown up, teach us how to do BD properly, would go to all the meetings and cherry pick all the organizations that we wanted to expand upon. He's the go-to man for everything in terms of BD. This brilliant content is about how he thinks LinkedIn you should be working with. But I'd like to ask you, Richard, sir, thank you very much for putting a shirt on. And hopefully life in Poole is suiting you very well. But the $1 billion questions that people really are interested in is about how do you BD with a grown-up person? So if you've got an existing business, a BD person lands within that, how best to motivate them, and how to target them, how to pay them, and how to KPI them. Now, you were slippery bugger at the time because I could never actually put a target on you. You agreed to everyone, and then you went off and did something brilliant in a totally different direction, and you went full wedge every time. So, could you help explain a little bit about what you did for us, as you walked through a door at S3 at CF with me?
Okay, well, I think the initial thing, Gary, with you was that the absolute buy-in to begin with was 100%. So from the confidence you gave me, I knew recruitment. Most of my friends worked in recruitment. My wife works in recruitment. Everyone was talking about computer futures. Everybody was talking about how they were doing things differently. And that gave me the sort of confidence to go out and have different conversations than other companies were having. And that wasn't just about, I think a lot of people had a lot of preconceptions about how we were selling, the kind of methodology that we were using. 99 times out of 100, all the good business development relationships started from somebody doing something good within the business and then taking that and expanding it. And to do that was probably the most difficult part, which is to convince an individual who's done something really, really good that it's bigger to pass that person on to make something else in the branch really, really good, and to get the manager to change how he looks at things so that he can make something look even better. And when we really got this clicking, of a team of people actually going out, pulling vacancies, so they were responsible for making their own appointments, going out, pitching clients, coming back, negotiating with the manager about, kind of what's acceptable business terms, what's not. But once you've got that manager's buy-in, that vacancy, once it comes back into the office, is monitored beyond belief, because it's cost that little bit extra, and it's that little bit more important because that was an account that you told me you wanted to win. So I've gone out and won that, an ability to trade for you. Now you come, match your obligation by get me your top 3 CVs, get me this, and get me that. And that's,
I remember, sir, the hard conversations that someone would do a piece of business at CSC.
Yeah.
We all stood back and go, "That's big. That's a really big account." You pile in with Josh. What a team as well you established. What a team. Pete Davis, Roz, it was Sean. It was really strong. You pile in, you bring out an opportunity. We'd all meet around the table, and we have to take that account away from that person, because that person was never going to be big enough to expand that relationship. And you say, "Thank you very much. You can keep that one, and you can't do any more business there." They were tough calls, but without doing that, we would have never grown those businesses. And I was prepared to back you to make sure we did it.
Brilliant. And by doing that, Gary, what you then did was, in effect, grew another team of people who were just slightly different from our normal kind of reactive salesperson who was all about chasing the job, placing it, and charging as much as possible, through to being able to generate their own accounts through all those good things that we try to teach people about, lead generation from consultants, from contractors, from other companies, from suppliers, from supply chains. And you got people, because of we were so lucky to have that regional network, we were able to kind of replicate in each office something that had worked in one of the other ones. Now, it might have been a completely different marketplace, might have been a completely different set of skills, but if you get somebody who can start that initial relationship, then back it up with a bit of grey hair, maybe people still like to be, to this day, they still like a nice presentation that's done for them, not, sent on email, but actually, kind of, we've put this together for you. And it's stuff that other people don't do.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you needed an army of people to help actually put the marketing together, the profiling together, to do the market research, so that you could have a conversation that's compelling, convincing, and then you can bring it back to us. And it was more expensive to run a BD team. But, we got to 260 odd, nearly 300 runners at CSC by doing that. Can I ask a couple of questions? So, how do you target a BD back in the day? Can we just use what we know, right? How did we target BD people, and how do we pay them? Do you remember?
I can actually remember distinctly. I mean, where it worked absolutely most efficiently was where whoever the lead in the office was. So the more senior manager, the better. So if it was a director manager, great. He would sit down and have his, in effect, business meeting with the person responsible for business development in that area, and set sensible targets. So not, go out and win the IBM at 30% or something stupid like that. It would be, look, we've got such and such a company down the road. We know they've been hiring. We've lost 2 or 3 candidates there. Just get me in there. Get me a vacancy in there. Get me one chance in there and build, and then they can build their own, in effect, business development list, which doesn't take away from the business, but can actually be celebrated at the end of the month when everyone's saying, right, so what did you do? What have you done? You've got deals that have actually been responsible through direct business development activity. Now, the problem with the paying has always come from, do you take it from the recruiter's commission, or do you have some kind of rolling target that if you hit X amount of GP as a business developer in a month, you get a lump sum as a payment? And I think that's always been my preferred way of doing it, mainly because you know, Gary, because you got stuck in the middle of some great arguments between, but I generated that. Yeah, but no, but I generated that. Well, no, but oh, well. So that person had nothing to do with it. That person had nothing to do with it. So I think people, quite rightly, if people are still motivating salespeople and recruitment consultants the same way that we used to do, they are not willingly going to give up money, cash, if you just come in and say, here, look, here's a job for you. It's only on 15%. All right, well, I'm not going to, it'll go to the bottom of my pile at 15%. Then they place it. And then you're saying, oh, by the way, you've got to give away some of the commission for it as well. That, that's the kind of recipe for disaster, because you get people putting their arm around the beautiful one used to be entering a customer's name on the database with all the address in the wrong place and the spelling's wrong, so that you were the only person that could find it.
Yeah, there's classics.
That kind of stuff.
I remember there were so many arguments about splits to the point where never again. And I liked looking at the revenue that a business, an office was generating, and setting a net gain target. Yeah. And if you could be responsible, if you keep hitting the target wins that we're giving you, or you can generate better individually, then you'll get bonused as long as the business hits its net gain growth. We're apportion that down to you. So we manage the BD person based on the wins and reward them based on the success of the office.
And the success of the office could be having another parallel team of 7 or 8 people, your Ed Bradbury's, Sophie's, Elaine's, all these kind of people who were slightly different skill set, but were still doing 2, 3, 4 deals a month, which keeps the clock ticking, keeps morale in the office up, makes them popular.
Sids and Rams, do you remember that?
Sids and Rams. God, the hours we spent thinking about doing that properly. And that's really what that was. If you've got somebody like Josh Wiggins, who's remarkable at being able to get under the skin of a customer. So he knew at a Thursday afternoon resource meeting, any jobs that were going to came out at 3:15. He'd be sitting outside having a coffee. He'd get the jobs straight away before anyone even had a chance to have a look at them, and bang, they're filled by Monday.
He even had a pass to get on their private jet to go from London to Manchester. It's like he was exceptional. He was the guy individually who had 200, nearly 300 runners at CSC. Let me ask you just 2 more questions, because the sun's shining. I'm sure you know we're going to get out there. what advice, if you give 2 or 3 tips to a business leader who wants to build a BD function, what 3 tips do you think you would share?
Number one, absolutely number one, was make sure that you're involved in it yourself. So if you're going to put someone internally into that role, or you're going to hire externally, you cannot put more value on spending time in a car with someone, but preferably who's not their manager, but not their direct manager, because it can be the best hour well spent, because we do get to know all these people that work for us, because we're shut in an office with them on from 8 in the morning till 8 in the evening. So we know most people's circumstances. We know what they're really, really interested in. And I think an absolutely shithole MD is going to want somebody in there that he knows is going to make pretty much the same call as he is when it comes down to being in front of a customer and being asked a direct question, right? Okay, Gary, I really like what you've told me. I'm prepared to let you have a go on this project. It's 30 vacancies. I'll need them staggered in by that, but I'll need you to do them at 12%. But I'll pay you in 28 days. You want to be building relationships with your senior, and you only need one person like that in any organisation, really, who can be your eyes and ears, and also, it's a horrible word, but to be your snitch. Because the beautiful thing about biz dev people is they hear everything that's going on. They are your, they're senior in a way that they've got access to your ear. They can pick up the phone pretty much to you anytime, have a chat with you, because it could be about anything. But make that part of the responsibility that, it's a 2-way information flow, that you need to know. You need to know what's going on in the business, because that's still, to this day, is one of the big challenges.
I think that's brilliant. And do you know what? I forgot that, by the way. And the other one that you said right at the beginning, you've got to back them 100% right. It's if you're going to take on a BD person and you want to be, it's BD over manager. It's BD and the opportunity.
I was trying to avoid using the back me or sack me, but
how many times?
Once a week with you, Gary. Yeah. It is. I mean, it is literally. It is a back me or sack me at some stage. Either you want to do business development or you don't. And in my inverted little mind, the reason everything worked when we were absolutely flying was it was just such an easy maths equation. So you just look at the board, you look at the revenue that's come in from reactive stuff, deals, so 50 deals, and you look at the number of deals that have come in from key accounts, major accounts, business development, that kind of thing, divide the two, and as long as that figure comes above the average that you're looking for from the business, or even more importantly, if you're looking to have a significant event with the business, you can, you're there or thereabouts. Because if you remember the prospectus, that we did for S3 when all that stuff was going on, we were able to make some absolutely fantastic statements of, we don't deal with CSCs of this world, we don't deal with Siemens. We're not, beholden to any big clients. That's where we were, but we just didn't make a fuss about it. They were just sort of tucked away in the background. Adding to the numbers. They weren't the main business. They weren't what we were recognised for, but they were certainly there, weren't they?
Yeah. As long as you're doing lots of 30% business, you can hide some shit business and still have an average of 27%. When you take that to an IPO, and the market average was 17. Exactly. So we hit a few here or there, and back me or sack me, you bugger.
Absolutely hated running, a recruitment business, because you spend all your time looking inside the business, having to inspect, some complaint about the toilets, or somebody smelling, or, someone not turning up. Whereas as you say, the business development side of it, you get a chance to look outside the business. But I think, in 2020, to then be able to find that opportunity and then come back and do something with it in conjunction with your peer MD.
I think it's brilliant. Yeah. You don't just go out and find an opportunity and throw it over your shoulder. You still have to manage that process to the end, don't you? Yeah. Otherwise it doesn't get done. So I really, really appreciate you giving me your time, and it's lovely to see you. So I'm sending you peace and love and well wishes, my man.
Absolutely. Send the same to you and family.